us talk about it and see exactly what's going on, get some of the updates there. He is part of the Braves contingent, and this guy was awesome. I mean, this is when I first fell in love with the game, and he was absolutely one of the best players in baseball. Back-to-back MVPs in the early 80s. He could run. And really, I think during a 6 or a 7-year window, he was one of the 3, 4, 5 best players in the game. And his name is Dale Murphy, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney. Dale, how you feeling today, buddy? What's happening?
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for that nice introduction. Doing great, and happy to be on with you guys, and look forward to this Fort Bragg game. It's gonna be unreal.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Tiki.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Dale, I grew up in Southwest Virginia, and there was some baseball around us, but TBS made me a Braves fan. I watch you guys every night, so it is an honor to get a chance to chat with you. But tell us how this came about, this Fort Bragg event, this Major League Baseball game, because this is the first regular season game in any professional sport to be played on a military base.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Major League Baseball, someone had the idea of playing at a non-traditional site, and then someone came up with the idea of going to Fort Bragg. They went down and visited at Fort Bragg, talked to the Department of Defense, got the okay to start talking to teams, and they talked to the Players Association and talked to the Braves and talked to the Marlins and saw that the Braves were playing the Marlins on the 3rd, and everybody said, "Well, let's do this." And they've put together a Major League Baseball field, Major League specifications in every way, in 4 months. And so it's just, I think the buzz at the ballpark is going to be incredible. There's going to be 12,500 people there. And then this is, as our way of saying thanks, we're going to play the game and have some visits during the day to a number of places, some on the base with the players and staff of both teams. And then we're going to leave it as a gift. Major League Baseball will leave the field and other multi-use recreation facilities associated with this after the game is over. So. And it's a small thank you for all that the men and women and families that serve our country, but I think it's a great way to say thank you.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it might be small, but the symbolism is quite palpable. And Tiki and I talk about so many times. I don't know if you're a big NFL fan or some of the other sports that go and play in London and Mexico and other areas outside of the States, and that's all well and good for business, but it's nice to actually see something on our soil again that recognizes people that, without, we wouldn't be watching baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this will be a great experience for the players who the players, when we're playing, we're kind of wrapped up in what we do, and we think it's pretty special and kind of unique, and then we see what real life is like and what real life is like for again the families and men and women that serve our country. It'll be a great opportunity for the players to kind of keep things in perspective, if you know what I mean, and so great for the players, great for the base and the military personnel. It's the largest military base, active military base in the world. 50,000 people live there.
Wow, that many, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had to have a lottery to figure out who was going to go. So again, 12,000 people be there. I think it's going to be incredibly exciting.
That's pretty sweet. 8 Eastern, by the way, on Sunday night, ESPN, Marlins, Braves. We're talking to the great Dale Murphy, 2 MVPs in the early 80s, former Brave, with us here on Tiki and Tierney.
Now, Dale, will any of these guys, and I know one, Lieutenant Colonel Ken Dwyer has been the forefront of a little bit of the press around it. He lost an arm and an eye. What will be the ceremony around some of these veterans, some of these heroes of our country?
Well, of course, I don't know the details of the pregame ceremonies, but I can tell you this: it's going to a good chance it's going to be off the charts emotionally, and Fort Bragg is known for their 4th of July celebration as well. Anyway, so I think everything connected with it is going to be incredible. We're also making visits with the special operations people, the 82nd Airborne, where they pack the parachutes. We're going to go to a hospital before, and some other activities as well with everybody on the base. So I can just imagine that there's going to be some pretty emotional things happening.
Hey, Dale, let's take a little journey back to the mid-'80s, a game that you played in. Tiki, I'm not even sure if you're aware of this. This happened back on July 4th, 1985. Let's hope you get out of the stadium a little earlier this time around than you did about 30-plus years ago. 6.5 hours. Rick Camp hit a home run, who was a light-hitting pitcher. Talk about mad bum.
Yeah.
He was not mad bum. He hits a home run. This thing goes forever. Guys had 10 at-bats in the game. You had pitchers playing the outfield. It ended at, like 3 in the morning, and they still did the fireworks. What was that night like for you playing?
Oh, it's funny. I get asked about that game all the time. Well, I think I got home about 4:30 or 5, and they still shot off the fireworks.
Yeah.
That was the funny thing. Everybody in the city was like, what just happened? Because, not everybody knew the game was still going on, but we had a couple rain delays, and then Rick Camp hit a home run. Rick didn't even get any hits, let alone a home run. Doc Gooden started that game.
Yeah.
Keith Hernandez actually hit for the cycle.
He did.
During that game, and it was just an insane, crazy night that you can't plan on. And my wife Nancy was like, "What in the world? Where have you been?" And I said, "Well, I just got back from the game," and so it was a crazy night.
You mentioned Hernandez. Keith Hernandez went 4 for 10 that night. That's an amazing graphic. Imagine staring at that on the TV. And Gary Carter, of course, may rest in peace, a Hall of Famer, great catcher. There were some big names in that game yourself with 2 MVPs. What about the current game? Who do you really enjoy watching right now, Dale? Who jumps out to you?
Well, I obviously, I'm with the Braves. We're going through a little bit of a challenge now, but I like a lot of the young talent with the Braves. It's hard not to like. I heard Chris Bryant before I came on here doing a promo there. It's hard not to like some of these young Cubs players. I don't think there's any question about that. And then we're seeing Kershaw do things. I hope he's healthy. Do things that are just hard to imagine. I don't know his strikeout to walk ratio, but I think there's really some good young players. Of course, think of Harper and Trout. Those are the guys that come to mind. We got some really. I think this is the youngest that the best players have been in a long time, if not ever. The best players are just really young. It's
I
fun
agree.
To watch them.
I'm with you. Correa from the Astros. The infusion the infusion of young talent is very good for baseball. Dale Murphy with us here on Tiki and Tierney.
Dale, you talk about some of the transitions that you guys are going at down in Atlanta with the Braves, and Freddie Freeman's a really good player. We know that, but how soon until we start to see progress with this Brave squad?
Yeah, that's the question. It's always hard to predict, but I think they're on a good path. You get in trouble when you start saying it's going to happen this year or that year.
Yeah.
But I'd say soon. I've seen some of the minor league players. I was in the draft room this year. Baseball, obviously, it takes a couple of years before you can really figure out how your draft class was. But I think I'm just looking at I think everybody's looking at between now and 3 years.
Yeah.
I think everybody would be pretty disappointed if they're not competitive within that time frame. There's some guys that are going to show up with free agent signings and trades that we don't even know yet. But obviously, but the young players they got. There's going to be some good young ones coming up.
Yeah, no, when you're a fan of a team and if you're a fan of the Braves, who are you excited about? Like, who are you seeing right now that's exciting you that could be there in a couple of years?
Well, I think the main guy that everybody's kind of focusing on is the shortstop Dansby Swanson, who's in Double-A now. He was number 1 overall pick of the Diamondbacks. They got him in a trade last year, and so I think there's a kid, Ozzie Albies, second baseman. They kind of got a shortstop and a second baseman that everybody's kind of focusing on now. And then from the Double-A level down, they've focused on some really good young pitching, and so that's the key to baseball. You got to develop that. They got quite a few guys coming up.
Dale, really an honor to chat with you. I know we've had you on the show before, but really one of the classy ambassadors for the game. I know you're a humble guy, but truly, during that 6 or 7 year window, if you saw Dale play, you'll agree, one of the most versatile all-around players in baseball. 2 MVPs backs that up. Really nice chatting with you. Have a great time over the weekend at Fort Bragg, and a great Great. Hopefully, this is a yearly tradition.
Yeah, it would
Very
be nice.
cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think it's going to be just fantastic. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate your kind words, and I look forward to it being on again with you guys anytime.
No
Most
doubt.
certainly.
You got it, Dale Murphy.